Have you ever had that moment where you say yes to something and you immediately regret it? Even as the words are coming out of your mouth, you're like, I don't want to do this, but here I am saying yes anyway. I used to struggle with people pleasing so much. And so today I'm going to share how I stopped people pleasing and how you can too. And I'm going to walk you through my journey. I'm going to walk you through some beliefs that I had to adopt in order to move past this chronic people-pleasing stage. For me, when I ran my agency, I had loads of clients, I had team, and I didn't realize how much of a people pleaser I was until I started a business. And being young, being kind of new and feeling a bit like an imposter, all of these feelings would come up when I would try to lead my team, when I would relate to clients or put in boundaries with clients or team, or try to give feedback to someone. All of this stuff would come up. And it was like I felt it right here. I couldn't give people feedback. And I remember this one specific moment. You know, when you have those pivotal moments in business and you realize that was a line in the sand, that's when something changed for me. I was at my sister Shelley's house and my mum was there. You know, when your family and the people close to you can kind of tell that you're not okay, but you're pretending to be like smiley, but it doesn't reach your eyes. That's where I was at. And so I sat down at the kitchen table with my sister and my mum. And Shelley was like, are you okay, mate? And yes, we call each other mate. She was like, are you okay? You just seem like a little bit off. And I just burst into tears. As soon as she asked me if I was okay, I was like, I'm not okay. I was so stressed. And I can't even remember the specific issue that was happening, but I was struggling to give feedback to a team member. And I was paying this person. I feel like I was a pretty good boss, but I really struggled to actually tell her, hey, you did this thing and the impact of that was X, Y, Z, and I don't want it to happen again. I really didn't know how to have that conversation. So I was telling Shelley about it, and she's amazing at giving feedback. It's kind of her job. She's amazing at that. And so I was talking this through, and my mum is the sweetest, kindest woman alive. And she's so tiny as well. And so she stood up. She looked me dead in the eyes, and she could look me in the eyes because I was sitting. I'm so much taller than her. Anyway, she's looking me in the eyes and she was like, Laura, the people pleaser must die. And I was like, whoa, that's pretty intense. The people pleaser must die. Wow. She was like, you got to stop it. You got to kill it. Get rid of it because it is holding you back. It is really, really hurting your business, and it's not good. So you have to kill it. And I was like, okay, the people pleaser must die. And so I went on this journey, and it took me years, if I'm being honest, of working through why I struggled so much with people pleasing, why I wanted people to like me so much, why I was so afraid of upsetting people, why I was so afraid of what people think of me. And I wanted to share some insights, some beliefs that I had to shift with you today, because working through this, it's such a strange concept, because running a business is full of to grow your business, you've got to have strategies, tactics, you've got to have a good plan, you've got to implement all those things. But the soft skills of running a business, the person that you have to become, your identity, your mindset, your beliefs, unlocking those things have always led to the biggest leaps in my business. So I hope that as you're listening to this today, if you're struggling with people pleasing, or maybe there's another area in your business that you're struggling with, I hope that you don't think of that this is it's just something that's a nice to have, or maybe it's just a mindset thing, but it's not really going to have an ROI in my business. I want to tell you that it will absolutely impact how much money you make. It will impact how much joy you feel in your business. It's going to impact your freedom. It's going to impact how fulfilled you feel. And it's also going to impact your relationships. So this is so worth investing in to really work through this people-pleasing issue. I really think it's important, if we're going to speak about people-pleasing, and I'm going to give you some strategies that really helped me. But before we do that, I think it's important for us to dig into why we're people-pleasing. Why are we doing this? We can see how it hurts us. We can see the impact of it, right? You can see that you're not charging enough. You can see that you're not, maybe there's scope creep happening in your business. So you can see the impact of this. And I could see it even outside of my business. I could see the impact of it in my friendships, in my marriage, in my relationship with my family. I could see it, the ripple effect of this core thing in me that wanted people to like me. I could see the ripple effect of that everywhere I went. And so we need to kind of peel back the layers and look at, well, why are we doing this? We know, we can recognize it, but why are we struggling to change? Why do we continue people pleasing? So I've been thinking a lot about this. Why do we people please? Why do we struggle with this? And I do want to preface this by saying I still struggle with people pleasing. It still kind of shows up every now and again. And I'm like, oh, wow, I've got to do some work here again. And it's not as chronic as it was before, but it is still a journey for me. And it is still something that I'm working through. And so I want you to know this is a work in progress. This may be something that I work on for many years to come because it's so ingrained. And this is why I really want to look at, well, why? Why is this so ingrained? Why do we default to this position, especially as women? Society has rewarded us for being good girls. We have been taught, particularly as women, that being nice is what makes us successful. So we have been taught as like in society, culturally for decades, if not like centuries, that as a woman, we are supposed to be agreeable. We're supposed to be accommodating. We're supposed to be nice. We're supposed to be selfless and helpful, easygoing, nurturing, all of these things, right? And society praises the women who are like this. And I'm not saying you shouldn't be those things, but I am challenging this idea that we can't be both. You can be kind and be strong. You can have boundaries and help others. It doesn't have to be one or the other. And so I really had to challenge this idea that my success is tied to what people think of me. If people like me, that makes me successful. That gives me validation. That means that I'm a good human. Whereas if we actually looked at it from another way, if a man is direct, they're seen as a leader. If a woman is direct, they're seen as bossy or abrasive. And so we have to kind of consciously go, I'm going to let go of some of those societal things that have been put on me. I'm going to let go of some of those beliefs and some of that operating system that says that as a woman, I should show up like this. So we have to let go of a bit of that. I also found it helpful, and this might be helpful for you, is to think about little you. So if I think about little Laura, when was the first time that you felt responsible for the feelings of others? It's kind of like intense. And this is what doing therapy will like show you. But when was the first time you felt responsible for others? When was the first time you felt like it was your job to make sure people liked you, to make sure that everyone else was okay? And we can often trace it back to when we're 5, 6, 7 years old. And so those things we really have to work through and go, okay, I have to untangle this from my identity and my worth, which is really, really deep work. Being the nice girl, being the good girl, never ruffling any feathers. That may have worked before, but I feel like now we're stepping into this era and this time when we as women have permission, not that we needed it, but we have permission to be strong, to be outspoken, to share our thoughts and opinions, and to be like badass, okay? That's kind of why number one. Why number two, we often mistake over-delivering for being valuable. If you're anything like me, you started your business because you wanted to add value, right? You wanted to help people. And sometimes we can mistake this, like, I'm going to give as much as I possibly can, and we can mistake that for being valuable. But actually, your clients may not have asked you for that. Your clients may not expect that of you. And here's what's interesting. There's a bit of an identity thing and a value worth thing here, because the more we do, the more valuable we feel. And you've probably seen people in your world where you're like, they just give and give and give and give, and then they get resentful. And they're like, oh, I clean up after you guys all day, every day. I cook your meals. I do all your stuff. And you can get a bit like this with clients, right? You're like, I just over-delivered. I gave them all the stuff. I picked up their dry cleaning for them, and they just didn't appreciate me. Now, the reason they may not appreciate you is because they didn't actually ask you to do that. They didn't ask that of you. You've assumed a role. And so we need to actually go, I don't need to bend over backwards here. You are delivering value just by delivering what you promised. And that leads me to my third why. And these are kind of brutal. Like, they're really like confronting to yourself. We are addicted to external validation. Oh, that's a big one. A lot of the time we think people pleasing is like, oh, I'm such a people pleaser. And we kind of like smile when we say it, because we're like, I just love to like help people, and it's my Achilles heel, but I just love helping people so much. I'm so generous and giving and helpful. Actually, it's ego. You are looking for external validation. You want people to like you. That's where you get your value. That's what kind of gets you off. And so we want to think about, okay, am I doing this to help someone truly? Or am I doing this for external validation and so that I can feel good about myself? I remember a friend of mine, he's so blunt and I love him so much. He was like, we were on this boat and he was talking with Nathan. I don't know what they were talking about, but he yelled over to me. I was having a champagne with a friend and he yelled over to me. He was like, Laura, why do you need people to like you so much? I was like, I don't know. I was like, it's a really good question. I don't know. And so we actually, when we dig into it, if we think about it, on the surface level, it's, oh, I want to be helpful. But deep down, I don't want to be rejected. I want people's approval. I want to be needed. Oh my gosh, like there's so much ego here. There's so much that we want ourselves that's actually a little bit selfish when we kind of get down to it. Final thing I'll say here. When your self-worth is tied to other people's approval, you become a prisoner to their expectations. And so when you let them down, you let yourself down. And that's like when we have identity crises, and that's when we really freak ourselves out. By now, you're probably like, holy moly, Laura, I really need help in this area. And there's stuff that you've been doing for your whole life that needs to change. So this is not an overnight thing. But I do want to share some really practical things with you because I love to be practical. I want to share some practical things with you that are going to help you right away and give you something to put into your business, into your life to protect you and to stop you from people pleasing. So here's how I stopped people pleasing and started protecting myself. So number one, I learned the skills I was never taught. I think sometimes we can get hung up and think, oh, I'm just not a direct person. I know I've said that about myself many times. Oh, I'm just not a confrontational person, so it's just not going to work for me. I'm just going to be like this forever. We actually have to stop that. We have to stop that immediately. You have to stop that right now. What we need to do is we need to learn the skills. Setting boundaries, negotiating, asserting yourself, giving feedback, being direct. These are all skills. And it's really lazy, actually, to say someone else has that skill and I don't have it and I'll never learn it. That's like a fixed mindset. So we need to go, okay, cool, there's a skill gap here. I'm going to learn the skill. Let's use an example of setting boundaries. For me, I really struggled with this and I would have scope creep. I would have clients that like I would over-deliver and undercharge, and I did this all the time. So I had to really work through, okay, how can I learn the skill of setting boundaries? What comes to others naturally, it doesn't come to me naturally, so how do I learn the skills? So I just started working out, well, in my onboarding, if I am really clear about the expectations, it's much easier to pre-frame than it is to reframe. So like straight away, when someone starts working with me, I am like, hey, I really believe that clear is kind. Here is what I'm going to do. And here's what you're going to do. These are the expectations. And so I'm so upfront about that from day one. And it solves so many problems down the line because we know, okay, we had that expectations chat. You were there. Remember? You signed the doc. So like, you know, you're not delivering what you said you would. And the outcome is XYZ. So I'm able to be really clear and hold my boundaries because I've set my expectations up front. So these are just skills. And in the moment, and another example is like asserting yourself in the moment. I am learning to be like, practice, like counting down from 5 and being like, okay, I'm going to count down, I'm going to breathe, and then I'm going to say, hey, listen, I got to run. The meeting's done. So it's like learning the skills takes time, it takes practice, but it's just a skill and it's something we can learn. Okay. So that's number one. Number two, this is a really simple one. I stopped saying yes immediately. My husband, Nath, is so good at saying no. He's like, no, that won't work for me. This is what would need to happen for it to work for me. He's like so clear and finds it so easy. I would say yes immediately and then regret it after. And even as the words were coming out of my mouth, I'd be like, I don't want to do this, but I've said yes. And then it's much harder to come back from when you've said yes, right? And actually just disclaimer, you can change your mind. If you say yes and then decide later on, actually it's not the right fit, that's also totally fine. So what I started to do is I started to put distance between the decision. So let's say someone's on a call and they're saying, hey, Laura, could you do this thing for me? And I'm not sure it's going to work for me. I'm like, maybe I could. I'm just not sure it's the right fit for me. The people pleaser would normally say, Yes, of course, I'd love to help you. You just let me know when. Don't even pay me. Don't even worry about it, whatever. The more assertive version of me says, hey, that sounds awesome. Can you just send me an email with all of the details? I'll take a look at it and come back to you with an answer. Is that cool? Like every single person will be like, yes, of course. Like, yeah, I'll send you some details. Come back to me. It just gives me a bit of distance, and it means that I can decide, is this going to work for me? Is this aligned with what I want to do? Is this aligned with my audience? Is this, aligned with the goals that I'm really wanting to achieve? There's a quote that says, when you say yes to others, make sure you aren't saying no to yourself. And I think that's really important in these moments. By simply giving yourself a breath, a bit of like distance between stimulus and response, you are giving yourself space to decide if this is the right fit for you. And as a people pleaser, if you don't know if you want to do it, it's really, really powerful to just simply give yourself a bit of space. And remember that you don't owe anyone an instant answer or immediate availability. An emergency on their part does not mean it's an emergency on your part, okay? Strategy number 3, this one is my favorite. So I built my business to protect me from myself. So what that looks like is, as I said earlier, it's setting boundaries. It's setting expectations in my onboarding with my clients. That's like a big one. So I have really clear pricing and policies. I started doing fixed prices when we were doing websites, it was a fixed price. When we would do VIP days, it was a fixed price, just because I wanted it to be simple and I didn't want to kind of shortchange myself. So I found that actually setting up and designing the business model around me and designing systems to protect me from myself, that is so, so helpful. Let's say you have clients that always at the last minute are like, oh, can we jump on a quick call today? And quick call is never a quick call. So maybe in those moments, a really simple system thing is to have a Calendly account or an online calendar where you go, yes, of course, here's a link to my calendar. And so they are responsible for booking in, and you set the determined hours of when you're available to talk. Okay. Now, of course, there are moments in business where there might be something that's happening that's urgent and you want to have space to deal with that, but you give yourself permission to go, is this urgent? No. Send them your calendar. They can book in your time. If it's urgent, of course, you want to be able to serve them and look after them, but you do want to be able to discern what the next step is, okay? So rather than everyone having access to you at all times, making it really easy and going, hey, here's a link to my calendar. So another really simple thing that I did to protect myself, when my team was really just me and some contractors, I set up an alias from my email, and it was Barry from accounts. And Barry from accounts would send the invoice reminders. Barry from accounts would be the one who was like, hey, it's overdue, pay up. Like, we cannot continue working if you don't pay up. Hey, also, we did some extra stuff. Here's the invoice. Let us know if you're good with that, and then we can get cracking. So Barry from accounts was kind of bad cop, and I was like the lovely creative person who was like, oh my goodness, I love working with you. You're a dream. This is amazing. So like, it's a simple thing, but set up Barry from accounts and like relieve yourself of the wearing all the hats, being good cop, bad cop, all of that stuff. Another simple strategy here is my clients don't have my phone number. So I make it really clear that this is the channel that we communicate on, whether it's Slack or WhatsApp or Messenger. We have one channel that we communicate on. This is how you get in touch with me. Anything else goes to my assistant or goes to my email, whatever. I also tell my clients, do not DM me on Instagram if you need help with something. Do not ask me coaching questions on Instagram. I'm not answering those DMs. And so by being really upfront of like, I don't coach in my Instagram DMs, sorry. We have a channel and it's really beautiful and there's other coaches in there and there's other community in there and they're gonna help you. So I'm really clear on where we communicate and when. So that's been really helpful for me because I don't have people randomly calling me when they're just like, thinking of something. I'm like very strict with my boundaries on that. So I'm not getting texts from clients at 10 o'clock at night. So I just want to encourage you. The biggest transformation came for me when I dug into why I was people pleasing. I did this inner work. I started to ask, why am I so concerned about what people think? Why do I feel like putting boundaries in makes me selfish and makes me a bit of a jerk? What is going on for me? What is the deeper meaning that I'm putting on this thing? Dan Martell talks about emotional shrapnel. We had to kind of dig around and go, what is the emotional shrapnel here? Where did I learn my worth is tied to how much I give? What am I afraid will happen if I put in boundaries? When did I feel like I'm responsible for other people's feelings, for other people's results, for other people's lives? When we can dig into that, that's when we're going to start to see a shift here. I want to leave you with 3 powerful beliefs that you can take away and steal. And you might want to write these down or put them on your phone or whatever, but I want you to think about these. Number 1, my worth is not determined by how much I give. Number 2, I am not responsible for managing other people's emotions, feelings, or results. And number 3, if someone gets upset over my boundaries, that's a sign that they benefited from me having none. So my friend, I hope that this has given you the tools and the strategies and the confidence to finally stop people pleasing. Know that this is a journey. You were on day 1, and as you grow, you're going to have to deal with this again. And it's going to show up in a different way. But I want to encourage you, this is a journey. I'm on this journey. You are likely on this journey. And I hope that you feel inspired and confident to be your most badass, confident, assertive self. I love your work. Go get 'em.